The South LA man whose stash of fireworks caused this explosion, damaging an entire neighborhood, now says he's guilty of transporting the illegal items. Arturo Ceja admitted to stockpiling the fireworks after making several trips to Nevada. As the LAPD tried to remove those fireworks, that massive explosion tore through the neighborhood and more than a dozen people were hurt, and many families are still out of their homes. KCAL9's Jeff Nguyen spoke with people still dealing with the effects.
Hey guys, what is going on? This is Keo Boom Diekin. So I wanted to give you guys an update and bring this situation to closure. I know the last update that I received was back in August, but there's been some more important news, development updates regarding the LA explosion that took place. I believe this happened, what was it, July 2nd, July 3rd or so. It was really just a few days before the 4th of July. And you guys know I went live with CZ Pyro Celtic here on the channel. But apparently, I believe they're still blaming this entire explosion on the young man. They haven't said anything really or too much about LAPD taking responsibility for this situation. But the real sad part about this story is all of the people who were affected, they don't have a home right now. This is December, just a few weeks before Christmas. Obviously, they've been impacted by Thanksgiving. They still can't go home. And I know I haven't heard a report about what they're doing about all the vehicles that were on that street, because you guys know a lot of the cars were damaged in that explosion. But apparently, as far as what we know publicly, the LAPD, fire department, whoever else was involved, isn't assuming full responsibility for everything. Now, in regards to this gentleman who was transporting the fireworks and everybody that was impacted down there, I honestly believe that he got a kind of a bad case, considering, I know what he was doing, but for the most part, I don't believe he had really good legal representation. It's my understanding that he had a substitute lawyer and everything was done virtually. If he had a high-powered attorney, I think a lot of these charges would have been dropped. Yeah, you guys can see there's a truck when it was detonated. And this is what the LAPD fire department or the bomb squad set off. And a lot of people were injured. In fact, other police department members were injured there as well. So again, I believe this guy's getting an entirely bad rap for some of the things that are going on that happened. He pled guilty, and I mean, at least he's going that route. He got a lighter sentence or whatever the case might be. I believe he's scheduled to. He has to get a job, and then of course there's some other situations involved in that. But I don't have the court docket. I wish I did, but you don't hear too much about the LAPD or the fire department taking full responsibility for the explosion part. That was not his fault. So again, I don't have the court docket or whatever, but his bail was set at $50,000, which would be about $5,000 in total from, I think, was it LA County, and then of course federally. Laura Diaz has some information here. Let me back this up just a little bit.
23-year-old Arturo Ceja is accused of unlicensed transport of explosives. He appeared via Zoom in an orange jumpsuit. His substitute defense attorney, Victor Sherman, also appeared remotely. His family posted a $25,000 bond. Arturo Ceja was arrested twice. The first time last week by the LAPD when explosives were found. ATF agents arrested him again on federal charges last Saturday. He's been incarcerated since. It started last Wednesday as law enforcement descended upon the house on East 27th Street in South LA, acting on a tip.
Yeah, so that doesn't make sense to me why he was arrested twice. I mean, normally they would arrest somebody and then keep him into custody. But again, all of this is his responsibility and stuff. I mean, I totally get that. But, that whole explosion, that's pretty much all on the LAPD and the fire department for their negligence down there. I mean, people could have been killed due to their negligence. And we do know that it is their fault. A lot of the newscasters and other broadcasters have noted that they were entirely responsible for this. But again, in this particular case, the city of LA isn't taking any responsibility for what's going on right now as far as people being displaced in the city of LA. They are still, they did give them a $10,000 voucher for the people that were affected. I don't know what they gave people whose cars were blown up and damaged. I know that typically insurances they may cover things like that. I'm not sure if they would consider that an act of God or whatever the case might be based upon some clauses. But overall, it just sucks. You know, it's bad. City's entirely responsible. They're supposed to have funds that cover stuff like this. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys even know this, but even if you get a flat tire due to a pothole in your city street anywhere, city council is supposed to cover that. So what do they do in cases like this? I think it's primarily about time some people start getting together and file a class action lawsuit or do something, because they are at fault. And these $10,000 vouchers don't mean anything when you're displaced from your home.
Patio, much more inside the house, and as much as 30,000 pounds in the backyard. News crews gathered as police tried to evacuate the area. That evening, in a scene captured on camera, something went terribly wrong during a planned detonation. The LAPD bomb squad truck designed to withstand such an explosion failed. 17 injured during that explosion.
Yeah, and we know the situation in regards to this. They put too much stuff in there. You know, they weren't sure the measurements or the weight or how deadly those soda cans could be when they ignited them. So, yeah, they're totally at fault for not knowing that. And I know a lot of pyros in the community kind of laughed about their negligence, because they're supposed to know this stuff, because we in the firework world, we know exactly how deadly those soda pop, or well, not soda pop, but those soda can fireworks can be.
Including one law enforcement officer. As I mentioned earlier, there were 8 people sitting directly to the right of me in court. They were watching the proceedings very intently, and I attempted, once we got out of court, to talk to them, because it was very clear to me that they were either family or close friends of the suspect. But we have to turn off our phones in court, as you know, in federal court. So by the time I could power up my phone and try to interview them, the elevator doors were closing, and they seemed very happy that they closed and didn't have to answer my questions. Chris and Alex?
All right, Laura, well, nice try there. Question, though, what are the conditions of his release?
Well, he has to turn over his passport by this Friday at noon. Also, he was told that he cannot travel at all, that he may not relocate in any way, and they encouraged him to get a job, but they said the court had to approve that job. And I want to make one other nuance, if I could, kind of clarify this. There is a state case pending, as you know, a $25,000 bond in that case, and a $25,000 bond today posted in the federal case. So that is $50,000 that was posted, presumably by his parents. Back to you.
That's interesting.
So here's another lady. This was recorded back, I believe, at the end of August or September. I believe that was the correct date. And so, yeah, she's been displaced from her home too. Again, this is just really unfortunate when proper repairs still haven't been done, and the city really isn't doing anything about it.
I'm feeling a little, the kicking.
Kenya Preto is expecting to give birth at the end of October, but she and her family have been living in a motel since June 30th, when the LAPD botched the detonation of illegal fireworks seized in South LA. 22 residential properties were destroyed.
I try to call them, I've texted, I haven't heard much. All I hear is, oh, don't worry, you're going to be in a hotel.
To date, 184 claims have been filed, 40 approved, and repairs have begun. The work is spearheaded by Councilmember Curran Price's office, which has set aside $1 million for the impacted area.
When you see the boards fill up, it's usually because we haven't been able to contact the owner, or the owner has refused. The owner says, hey, don't worry, I'm going to have my insurance do it, or I got a claim, or I got a lawyer.
Down the street, this complex has been painted, but the damaged windows have not been replaced. This woman asked us not to share her identity.
It's been 2 months already, so I think it's plenty of time for them to contract a company, fix them, I think it's more than enough time already.
A nonprofit has been contracted to do the work. Its vice president says most of the windows are custom orders.
With anything right now with COVID and short supply, just with even vehicles and construction material, raw material, there's back orders.
While Kenya Prieto says she's concerned for her growing family.
The city hasn't really given us information whether they're going to relocate us, and that's what my worry is.
Councilman Price says the motel vouchers are open-ended and the displaced families have been given $10,000 grants to use as they see fit. In South LA, Jeff Nguyen, KCAL 9 News.
Well, amid deadly heat.
All right, so this is the last clip I want to show you guys. This is one of the public speakers speaking out about this situation. Just really disgusting to know that LA City hasn't moved upon this. I mean, this should have been fixed by now. I mean, this was like 6 months ago when all of this stuff happened.
Our families need help now. Not 2 weeks from now, not 2 months from now, not 2 years from now, but now.
Needing help now has turned into needing help still. That was LA City Councilman Curran Price back in July. Tonight, we are revisiting a mother with 5 kids who were displaced by that fireworks detonation.
The family still has not been able to move back in and say they're being forced to move elsewhere.
Yeah, and also want to add, this is recent. I believe this is November when this report was
Remember,
taken.
the explosion happened before the 4th of July.
Now, as most people are getting ready to spend time with family for Thanksgiving, this mother is struggling to keep a roof over her head. Gina Silva has more.
It's been a very stressful 6 months already.
This Thanksgiving will be a tough one for Natalie Quintanilla and her family.
It's frustrated. There's times that, I sit down but when I'm by myself and I cry.
That's because Natalie no longer has a home. The June 30th fireworks explosion on East 27th Street in South LA damaged her apartment complex, and months later, it hasn't been repaired.
The nails on top are all missing, the cracks all over, starting from the door, the frame on the door. Obviously, the windows are gone. There's glasses everywhere. That is all from the explosion.
The explosion injured 17 people and damaged numerous vehicles and properties. This after the LAPD decided it was best to detonate thousands of pounds of illegal fireworks rather than transport them elsewhere. Unfortunately, the container designed to safely detonate explosives failed catastrophically.
And we question, the LAPD, why did they do it? Weren't they prepared enough?
Many families like the Quintanillas are still struggling after they were displaced by the explosion.
A lot of us are in the same situation, still, and it wasn't our fault.
To make matters worse, burglars broke into the apartment complex a few weeks ago, even though the LAPD has units outside during the day and night.
They still broke in, they took my daughter's clothes, she left her with nothing, luggages, microwaves, it's just, one thing after another.
In this South LA neighborhood, you can feel the residents' frustration when reading the signs placed on their properties. Signs that make it clear no repairs have been completed. When Natalie calls her landlord, she says it's always the same answer.
Call the city. It's their fault that you're, not home.
Even though the city did provide some relief assistance to the victims and temporary shelter, it's not exactly how Natalie envisioned spending the holidays with her family.
I want to go home. I want to have my house, But I do miss it.
Gina Silva, Fox 11.
So yeah, you guys see, this has just been overall a pretty bad situation. Unfortunately, this could have been prevented if they had just taken the fireworks, moved them safely, didn't try to overstuff that machine and detonate them on a city street. I don't even know why they would even try to detonate it on a city street, but, we just haven't heard LA City Council take full responsibility for this situation, and people are without a home right now for Christmas. And as you guys just heard, people's merchandise or their stuff is being stolen. Their homes are broken into, and apparently they have cops on the street supposed to watch those facilities. But That lady's landlord, I believe she, is correct. It is a city issue. They have to pay for it. They have to replace it. But this should have been done by now. People shouldn't be without a home for this long, or they should have just relocated them somewhere else at their own expense, out of the officers. But honestly, there should be a class action lawsuit going on against the individuals, involved and responsible for all of this. But again, those are just my thoughts and concerns. Let me know what you guys think below. Just definitely wanted to bring some closure to this situation. I know it's been some months. I've been following up on it. Didn't get a chance to really do some videos on it. Wanted to kind of wait and see what was going on. But this is going to be an ongoing situation. Not sure if I'm going to post any more about this topic. But if you happen to know some people, if you guys are watching this video, you guys should definitely get together, get a couple of lawyers or something involved. Let me know if you need some referrals. I know plenty of them. And get together and file a lawsuit against the city of LA, because this is just intolerable. So without all that being said, this is Keo Boom Diekin is signing out. I'll catch you guys later. Hope you guys all have a great and Merry Christmas. Peace out. Bye-bye.